Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. As part of the London Lifter Film Festival, we are interviewing 3 filmmakers taking part in different programmes. So, without further ado, let's introduce our filmmakers. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to unmute yourselves and join the conversation. So today we are joined by John, Paula and Ibrahim, or Ibi, as I will be referring you to because that's just the way it works here in the UK. We like to shorten everyone's names. This is Rupert. He will be joining us on the stream today. And my name's Natalie. So, welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining. So, John, why don't you kick us off? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what your film is, and a little bit more about what inspired the story?
Okay, thanks, Natalie. Well, yeah, my name's John Mullaney. My film is called The Joy and the Wonder. It's a music video for a track of the same name by Last Picture Show, which is the band formed by myself and my longtime friend and collaborator, Matt Robinson. The genesis of the film's concept came to me one night when I went for a nighttime walk in a beautiful location. It was a gorgeous summer's night. And I had the recently completed track on headphones, and I just had it on heavy rotation. And inspired by that, and kind of loosely inspired as well by the spirit of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of my favorite plays. The eventual film is a celebration of the extraordinary and of unity, and it's a visual complement to Matt's life-affirming lyrics, which invoke the timely words of the late MP Jo Cox when she said there is more that unites us than divides us. But the clues in the name, it's a short film about life's joy and wonder.
Nice. Well, thank you. Well, we can find out a little bit more about that, but let's find out who else is on the call. So, Paula, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Okay, well, my name is Paula Galan. In Spanish, it's Paula Galan. I'm the producer of Marginalized Nation along with Daniel Castilla, which is it's a short documentary series. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the project. Okay, well, first I'm going to introduce myself properly. I'm a video editor. I've been a video editor for 6 years now. And I'm originally from Colombia, and I've worked in the US, the UK, and Australia. So in this project, I started working, I think it was late 2018, and I'm going to keep working on it for the next few years. So what it is it's a documentary project that shares inspiring stories in Colombia. We plan on making a 5-part series. So yeah, so far we've done 1 episode, and I would like to give you some context about this first episode, which is the one that we submitted to Liftoff.
Yes, nice.
So Colombia has been in an armed conflict for 6 decades between guerrilla groups, paramilitary groups, and the National Army. And this violence has affected millions of people, especially people in rural areas, and definitely the country as a whole. And in 1989, there was a presidential candidate that gave hope to millions of people in the country. His name was Luis Carlos Galan. He's my uncle, and I never met him because I was born a couple of years after he was murdered. So apart from politicians, thousands of social leaders have lost their lives, and unfortunately these murders still happen today. So what motivates us to work on this project is doing our part in giving people in rural areas a voice, not a voice because they already have a voice, but giving them a platform so that more people can hear them. And so this first episode is about democracy and peace. It's an homage and a parallel between former presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galan and a group of villagers in a region of Colombia who achieved a peace process 30 years ago. So I'm happy to share a little bit more later, but
and
I'll
we've
share that
obviously
for now.
spoken about this project a little bit before as well.
Yeah.
So I'm fully aware of what it is. And we mentioned that it's great to give a platform to Colombia that isn't Narcos or something that is so mainstream, and getting it more into the gritty real life and the real stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah.
Nice. And then Ibi, why don't you introduce yourself?
Excellent, sure. So my name's Ibrahim Wara, or Ibi for short. I'm an engineer by trade, but I've got a sort of big love and passion for filmmaking. My film Visitor, it's a psychological thriller. It's in the New Voice Features category, which I'm thrilled to have it there. Really excited. So that the film's about it's sort of an exploration into the sort of subversion of context. And I was really fascinated by this concept of an unreliable narrator. I'm a big fan of sort of films that are really good at subverting context, as in, you kind of go with the entire narrative thinking a certain thing, and then at the end you realize that your sort of conclusions, your assumptions were wrong, just based on maybe your misinterpretation or certain biases that you took into the film.
Amazing.
To begin with. And that's kind of what the film explores. I feel like it's particularly relevant now in the age of misinformation, and I think narratives are spun all the time, and we're always kind of telling each other stories and being told stories, and that's kind of how we figure out the world around us and what's going on. And so I really wanted to explore what it could do and what it meant for us not to necessarily be able to kind of trust in everything we hear. So this film was a culmination of about kind of a year's work, and it's a true collaboration. I'm just very conscious of the fact that I could never have made it without some incredible kind of key players that I managed to kind of pick up along the way, which I'm kind of very grateful for. And obviously, as everyone on the call knows, film is such a collaborative medium.
Absolutely.
And I just feel very kind of lucky to be a part of this.
So you mentioned there that you've moved to Canada, but you've previously from the UK. Was this shot in the UK, or did you do this project in Canada?
This was shot in the UK. Yeah, shot in the UK just before I kind of moved, and it was edited in Canada, coloured in Canada and everything. And so it's kind of a UK Canadian film technically, I suppose. Post-production in Canada and production in the UK.
Amazing. Great. Just going to throw a little curveball in now and ask a question that people find very hard to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and just to get to know you slightly better. What is your favourite film or favourite director? Yeah.
That is a hard question.
It's a hard question. If you want to have a think about it, I can share mine first. I find this question extremely hard to answer. And if anyone is in the chat room, feel free to answer with your favourite films in there as well. But I would say that, I've got three. So Whiplash is up there with, Damien Chazelle. That's probably my ultimate favourite. Made my hands sweat a lot. Secondly, I would have to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably my favourite Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, amazing.
Controversial.
That's controversial, yeah, definitely.
Yep. And then A Fish Called Wanda, if anyone's seen it. Comedy with John Cleese.
Okay.
Never seen it.
Add it to your list. It's great.
Will do.
John, do you have your answer?
I couldn't. I couldn't whittle it down to one definitive film, but off the top of my head, three of my favourites: Withnail and I, Aliens, and Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank. Oh, absolutely love Shawshank Redemption.
I mean, everyone loves Shawshank, don't they? It's an obvious answer, but it's a classic. It is
a classic. Beautiful
storytelling, just exceptional in every level.
And Paula?
This question gives me actual anxiety. I wasn't nervous before, and now I'm like panicking. I can't, like, whenever people ask me, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite movie? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't want to give a bad answer. Also, because I'm a filmmaker, so I'm going to be judged by my answers. But I don't want to say something that's cliche, and I'm sure I'm going to forget a really good film. And it just depends on my mood as well. But I think I'm going to go but this is not an answer, but I'm just going to give an answer just for the sake of it. But I'm going to go with Amelie for now, just for the sake of this discussion.
So,
it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful
And the
film.
music and So it's funny because I was watching the behind the scenes of Amelie, like, because this came out, I don't even know how long ago, but I wasn't really familiar with color grading. And I thought that's just how it looked. And then I saw the before and after, and I was like, what? How did I not realize that it was green and red, like bright green and bright red?
So we have a Paris Film Festival as well, and when Claire and I went to host that last year, we were walking around the streets of Paris where they shot Amelie, and she was pointing out all of the different locations, which was quite nice. It was great to see.
Awesome.
Yeah. Did it look really different? Yeah.
I haven't seen that film for a very long time, so I found it quite difficult to match the locations, but Claire swore by it, so she's not on the call, so we can say what we like.
Yeah.
And then Ivy, what's your favourite?
So I think I've had a time to think about it, as John and Paolo have answered. I think for me, it's a pretty generic answer. Maybe it's not too much of a surprise based on my introduction, but I think if I had to give one film the gauntlet of You're the Best, probably Memento for me.
Okay.
And director would probably also have to be Christopher Nolan for me. And also, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't also add, Richard Linklater, and there's a whole host of other filmmakers who I just massively admire. I mean, they're the reasons also that I want to be a filmmaker, and they're that kind of white rabbit that I hope to forever be chasing,
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Nolan obviously is the master of subverting context, and not in a way that's...
Sorry, when you were describing what your film was about, I wanted to ask you who was the director that inspired you, and it absolutely matches. I was going more with Inception than Memento, but
sure.
But yeah.
Well, that's, I mean, regardless, that's super flattering that my film might be mentioned in the same sentence as Inception. but regardless, yeah, for sure, like his films. And I think what I really like about him as a filmmaker is he's a very intelligent filmmaker. He treats his audience with a huge amount of respect and intelligence. And his, the twists and the turns, if you can kind of broadly call them that, they're not sort of cheap parlor tricks where you discover that the bad guy was a good guy all along, and everything he did during the film made no sense within the context of who his personality was meant to be. But it's just that you can watch the film again 2 or 3 times and almost see an entirely different film.
Yeah.
And there's a genius in that, I think, that's incredibly. I mean, I will forever be trying to replicate, I suppose. And also, so it's one of the things that I've discovered. I've been making films for a while, very bad films to begin with, and hopefully slowly a bit better. One of the things I've discovered is that you kind of just have to, find your own voice. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but find your own kind of thing at the end of the day. I think it's important not to, chase a certain filmmaker or vision too strongly, and kind of find your own thing, which I hope I've started to do a little bit with Visitor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic. All great choices there. And I have asked in the chat room if there is any other films that people love. We've got quite a few people watching, so if you do have any questions for our filmmakers as we delve in a little bit further, please do let us know. Okay, cool. So then the first question that was asked, let's start with you, John. How has this industry treated you? What have you found to be the most battling parts that you've had to overcome in order to get your films made?
Well, I mean, I've been making very small scale films for years. And I rewind 20 years. I worked as a art department crew member on Teletubbies, amongst other things.
Nice.
It's an unlikely start to my filmmaking career. And then I sort of took a bit of a break from it, and my other career is illustration, but still working a lot with film studios on licensed publishing.
Nice.
And that led me back into making films. But like I say, it was on a very small scale. So my biggest challenge was to produce and direct a proper shoot, and take things up to that step up in scale. So with this project, off the bat, Matt and I knew that we needed a high caliber actress to carry the film, and we, as a rookie director, I got off to an amazing start by having an actress called Cassie Valance, who's amazing, So we secured her as our lead. And I then had a very fortuitously timed conversation with my friend Jude Coates, who is a filmmaker doing a filmmaking degree at Gloucester College. And he came on board as co-producer and held my hand through the pre-production process with crewing up, introduced me to our cinematographer and our amazing crew. And Gloucester College also did us a huge favour by allowing us use of lots of professional filmmaking equipment at no cost. So that really helped keep our budget down and work with what is a relatively DIY sort of shoestring budget. And also, just want to give a big shout out to my friends Nina and Miguel, who made the whole production possible by generously welcoming our film unit to base ourselves at their home and to film in their garden for a whole weekend. So yeah, I'm just super grateful to everyone who helped me overcome those rookie director hurdles. And the shoot proved to be a really positive, brilliant experience, I think, for everyone involved. I got lovely feedback about it, and I think that spirit shows in the finished film.
So yeah, and it is obviously doing the festival circuit as we speak, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here being interviewed by us. But how has the festival circuit treated you? And at what stage are you at in your submission process?
Well, you're the first festival to select us. We've got notifications coming up throughout next year. We've submitted to about 10, I think, in total.
Amazing.
This is early days really for us. The film itself comes out next March. We're going to do an online premiere. So looking forward to that and getting it out into the world, and hopefully some more love from other festivals. But yeah, we're just so honoured and chuffed to be to have our film selected by Liftoff. It's a huge deal for us. Thank you.
No, well, thank you as well. And Paula, same question goes to you. What do you think has been the barriers that have stopped you succeeding or moving forward or pulsing through whilst making your films? What has been the bit that has stopped you moving forward?
Okay. I mean, I believe there's many obstacles on the way. In this particular project, it started off as something small. We were going to make a short documentary and that's it. And I didn't want to get involved with distribution. I just wanted to be the editor.
Yeah.
But Daniel, the other producer, insisted this had a lot of potential. And I was like, yeah, well, I guess. And then very slowly, I became obsessed with this project because not only does it have potential, but also we can't leave it at that. We can't just make a 15-minute long documentary and then be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
We want to go more in depth with their stories and we want to share other inspiring stories in other regions. So to answer your question, in terms of overcoming obstacles in the industry, there's been a few and there will continue to be more. The first is obviously budget. So as I said, we started off with something small. So we had a small budget. And when we started the distribution process, we had no budget left for festival submissions, marketing, etc. So that's been a bit of a learning curve. And then another thing, pardon?
I was just going to say, and on that point, we always advise filmmakers to save 1/3 of their budget for the marketing and festival submissions because it adds up so quickly. And there are so many great festivals out there. You're just like, I want to submit to that one, I want to submit to that one. And then before you know it, your budget's gone. So that's our advice, save 1/3 of the budget, which sounds crazy depending on your budget. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I see it now. I definitely see it. Because then what's the point of even making it? Like, no one's going to see it. Exactly. So, yeah, I definitely, I think it's cool that you guys have a number because I think it's really helpful. I'll definitely do that for the next episode. But yeah, another thing that I wanted to say is now, like, contacting journalists that might be interested in this project so we can get some press. We do have some at the moment. and we still need more now that the documentary's out. Because I didn't mention, but we released it today. So I'm super. Thank you. Thank you. I even thought I was gonna miss this call because we had a live premiere, and I thought it was at the same time, but it wasn't. So it's all good. Wow. But yeah, like I want to make sure that we can reach out as much people as we can. So definitely getting good exposure that leads to a wider following. That has been a challenge this year.
What have you done so far in order to reach your wider audience and to get the film out there? What was your marketing strategy?
Well, okay, so I'm a bit shy in terms of sharing my work, and I'm the one managing our social media pages. So, so we haven't grown as much as I wanted on social media. But basically what I've done, like what we've done as a team, is we have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, we have a website, we have everything. Like when we spoke, I think a couple of weeks ago, like we have everything. We just need to can I curse during this call or no?
Politely.
No.
My children are watching.
Yes.
Yeah. The oxymoron curse politely.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Politely curse.
So half, I've been doing that with social media. Like I need to, fully show that we believe in the message. It's just not coming through with our communication, I think. So then that, if we don't have a huge following, then that might make the project less appealing to potential investors or distributors. But what I've seen this year is so many people believe in the importance of this documentary, and that means the world to me. And we've done really well in different festivals. We just won Best Documentary at a festival in London called the Lonely Wolf International Film Festival. So and we've been selected in many other ones. So this means that people from all over the world are now getting familiar with a fragment of Colombia's history. So we'll keep working with what we have and leveraging all the opportunities that we've opened up this year. And our goal for early 2021 is to get the funding for the next episodes, get the distributors, and keep involving the communities.
Sounds like a plan. And what you mentioned there about social media, it is a full-time job. And sometimes it's very beneficial and other times maybe it isn't. So you have to use your judgment on whether to go down that route or not. But if you are thinking about social media, my advice would be to pick one of the platforms and focus strongly on that. Probably Instagram, if I were to choose. And just put all your energy into one and make that one brilliant rather than spreading thin across all of them with not much hope, really. But yeah, nice. Good points there. Thank you for sharing. And then,
thank you.
Ibi, same question goes to you. What barriers have you had to overcome?
I just want to say very quick, I love how inherently optimistic John and Paola's responses were. I think you have to be insane. A combination of very optimistic and very crazy to, as a kind of novice filmmaker or filmmaker just starting out, undertake, the pretty, overwhelming challenge of putting together a documentary or a film of any kind, frankly. And honestly, similar to sort of John and Paola's stories, I was frankly graced with an incredible amount of generosity from the film industry and individuals who are also on their own sort of journeys to make movies. I think for me, as coming from, I never sort of studied film. I didn't go to film school, so I don't have any connections, formal connections, to the industry. But so one of the difficulties for me is sort of getting in touch with the right people to help you make my film, the actors and performers who obviously are key, and everybody behind the scenes, cinematographer and gaffer and sound design, sort of boom operator, all those different individuals that you kind of learn over the years, starting with sort of a DSLR and a little mic. You learn that if you ever want to sort of graduate into better films, you need individuals who are specialized. So I was very lucky to come across a website in the UK. It's actually a UK-based website. I'm pretty disheartened that it's not really here in Canada, but there's a website called Shooting People. And that's where
That surprises me it's not in Canada as well.
Yeah, I think they were in New York for a short period of time, or America, but it didn't really sort of take off there. But it's very active in the UK.
Yes, it is.
And that's where I found everybody for Visitor, essentially there. And as I say, I was incredibly lucky to stumble upon just a phenomenal group of filmmakers and just very talented actors and actresses.
Can I just tap in on something here?
Sure.
So whereabouts in Canada are you based?
So right now I'm just north of Toronto, so very close to Toronto.
So Toronto is a film hub, as is Vancouver in Canada. So my advice to you is try and look for a similar platform to Shooting People. Yeah. But if not, Facebook is a massive tool. And if you just type in independent filmmakers of Toronto, I'm sure there'll be lots of groups that you can have a look at.
No, you're exactly right.
Teaching you to suck eggs, but I thought I'd say it just in case.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I've done. I found a sort of group on Facebook, which I sort of joined recently. Yeah, but I think there is something in the sort of formality of Shooting People where you can, you put out a role and you suggest a certain amount that you're willing to sort of offer for the role and stuff, and it's quite a good sort of platform to have that kind of exchange with filmmakers and talent and stuff. But yeah, you're right. There's those resources exist everywhere for sure. And aside from that, as Paolo mentioned, the budget. So this film, it wasn't sort of financed or anything like that, or we didn't get investment into it. It was something I saved for over sort of 3 or 4 years. I was working as an engineer at Ford. So I was working for Ford in Dunton in Essex, where I sort of previously lived, and saving up essentially to make this film. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Very intense 13 days of shooting.
Oh wow!
And would never have been made again. I have to kind of reiterate, without everybody involved, essentially.
Amazing, nice. Well, thank you for sharing. So I'm just going to check to see if there's any questions. Yep, there's a question here for all of you. So we'll start with John. As you work on your films, did you feel any responsibility to those featured in your film to complete it and make it work?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I had this heart-sinking moment at the end of our shoot, and one of our crew came up to me very discreetly and said, "Just want to warn you that one of the mags, the hard drives that half the footage is recorded to, has corrupted." I was like, oh God. And so then I had a month period where I was trying to get this information, all half the film off the files and off the hard drive. It worked out fine, and again I had amazing support from Owen, my cinematographer, and Gloucester College, and some other places as well. Just again, like you were saying, EB, it's nothing. No film happens without this massive collaborative effort, and once I got the footage secured, and we lost just 3 shots, which I was able to compensate for in the edit. Once I had that, I've got to get this done. I can't, before something else happens, So, because the idea of reshooting it was just unthinkable, and especially now it wouldn't have been possible with lockdown, because we shot it just 5 months before lockdown. So once I had it in the edit, then it was just quite a furious process of, I like to work into the night sometimes, and you just get on a roll, and then there's a long period of refining it and getting all those little details, all the little ingredients. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. That's the way I see it, and it's just about completing the puzzle and then getting it out there. But yeah, I felt such an obligation to everyone involved to put it out and do it to the best of my ability. Absolutely.
Nice.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I feel like the more you share about your project, the more accountability you have, which is it's great, but it sucks too, because you're like, now I actually have to do this, and now it has things have to go well. And I do I do, like, I gave my word to these people, like to the people that we interviewed, that we're gonna, well, that's how I feel. I didn't, officially say, you know what I mean? But yeah, I do feel some responsibility to them to share their story and to share their message. And now we've decided to make this into a series, a 5-part series. We haven't even started, we don't even have the script for the second episode. We just released the first one. So we don't know how long it's going to take. It's all a bit daunting, but we've said we're going to do it. So we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. Nerve-wracking, but exciting too.
Yours is a documentary, Paola, right?
Correct.
So I imagine the responsibility there is sort of very intense, right? To try and represent everybody sort of, as accurately as possible within the context of the story you're telling. So it's an incredible sort of undertaking for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. But I definitely, I mean, that's a fantastic question. Responsibility. I previously, with my kind of short films, I used to just grab my friends and be like, "You're going to be in my movie," and I didn't really care, how it is they came out in the edit. But I think I don't envy actors and performers, but at the same time, I have such a huge amount of respect for them, because they really give themselves up to you as a filmmaker. They can give the most phenomenal performance in all the time on camera, and you can destroy it, in the edit, frankly, if you're not very careful and if you don't know exactly what you're doing, or have as sort of solid a vision as you need to, frankly, to honor those performances. And so I definitely, with this, I had such a phenomenal cast. Again, so lucky to come across certain individuals who, again, some of these actors in this film are established. They've made films for the BBC, and I have a wonderful lady called Salem Baxter in my film who'd acted in Macbeth alongside some sort of big sort of Hollywood individual. So I really felt that I needed to present them on screen and give justice to their performances. So yeah, that responsibility was huge. I was, again, super lucky to have an incredible editor on the team post-production, a gentleman called Andy Sowerby, who really just put together the film in a way that it just raised it. Again, I think he has this great quote that he always says. He says, a film is made twice. Once you shoot it, and the second time you make it is in the edit room. That's very true. So yeah, huge responsibility. I one of the things that sort of calmed me down a little bit is after we'd put together the first cut, I had a sort of a super secret private link which I sent to the cast and crew. Once it was almost essentially near completion, it was sort of I say first cut, it was sort of second or third really. It was near enough. It was sort of near enough complete where I was comfortable to send it to them, and I got back a load of emails. And I know these people don't sort of pull their punches. They really tell me what they thought, and I got back a load of incredibly sort of excited emails from everybody involved saying that they didn't imagine it would kind of come out this way. I think the script is very difficult to imagine. If you sort of see the film, you understand it's very, it's very difficult to see the kind of writing on the page. There's a lot of sort of twists and turns and loops and kind of odd things that on paper might not manifest visually, but I think it, thankfully definitely came across quite well visually. And when they all saw it, they, I think, were very happy about it, which was really exciting for me. So it's a huge responsibility for sure.
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it, to get that validation from your cast and crew. You've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that happens,
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, what does the future look like? What is the dream? What are your goals? What does the next 5 years look like? A tough question to ask, but if you have an answer, we would love to hear it. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you see your future within the film industry?
Well, I'm currently producing a short film with writer-director Rob Smith, who I met on Join the Wonder. He was my first AD, absolute trooper. He spent the whole weekend, he just broken his foot just before driving down. So he was hobbling about for the whole weekend. And in spite of that, he just held my hand through the whole process as a first AD, and we established a great rapport and found we've got a lot of similar ambitions cinematically. So yeah, we're developing a short film based on a true story at the heart of the recent Windrush scandal. So we're hoping to film that next year, working with award-winning writer Tanya Bitar-Mursali. And yeah, Rob and I plan to do many more projects together, doing films with a kind of social conscience. And then alongside that, Matt and I, as Last Picture Show, we want our films to have a USP of making cinematic short films that tell empowering true stories with music. So I've written a quite ambitious, what we plan to be our next film. It's an ambitious period piece set during World War II, based on a true story around the liberation of Belgium. And I hope to, way down the track probably, but I really hope to expand that into a full feature film. But that relationship between cinema and widescreen music, you know, as had with composers like Hans Zimmer and Thomas Newman, that's something that really drives and excites me. And just going back to our earlier conversation about directors that inspire us, I mean, you know, mine would be again Chris Nolan, absolutely, and Edgar Wright, Jim Cameron.
Edgar Wright, amazing.
Yeah, and I think what they all have in common is they're filmmakers that inspire me with their dynamic use of music and sound, combining that with incredible spectacle, clever editing, you know, meticulous, finely crafted attention to detail. And I think all those things come together to create this, you know, muscular and thrilling type of cinema, which I just love. And so, yeah, I want to channel that. And just to single out Cameron again, I think the common theme that I've always loved about his films is that of having strong female protagonists and characters, and it's something I'd like to channel in my own work. And The Joy and the Wonder is very much the beginning of that thematic ambition. So yeah, delusions of grandeur, you know, guilty as charged. But the plan to get there is just to start establishing conversations with financiers, and you know, if you're watching, any introductions are super welcome.
Thank you, John. It's cool that you've figured out what your unique selling point is going to be as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Cool. Okay, so Paula.
Okay, so I want to finish this documentary series in the next 2 years. And I want to grow my team so that we have someone in charge of social media and marketing, someone that's a full-time producer, so that I can focus on editing and Daniel can focus on music production. So the first step in my master plan is to have a 2-week holiday, because I feel like I need a massive break and recharge from this insane year.
Yeah.
Yeah, while I work on this project on Marginalized Nation, I'm gonna keep working on other documentary projects and other creative projects that I'm currently working on. And I want to get really good at getting funding, because the lack of budget, it slows everything down. And I'm very passionate about the projects I'm working on now. And to make my filmmaking career sustainable, I need to work with bigger budgets. And well, I want to go back to London, because I used to live there. I lived there for 2.5 years. I went to uni there and then I worked there. And yeah, all my friends and family are probably sick of hearing me say that I want to go back, but I just love it so much. Obviously, my 5-year plan depends on how things shift post-COVID and Brexit. Because, yeah, I just checked the other day and there's a different rating system for a working visa now, and it's all changed and I don't understand it. But once I figure it out, I want to work at a big company, and my dream is to work at either the BBC or Vice as a predator.
Okay.
I love editing. I love communicating that way, and I want to keep improving my skills in motion graphics and sound design and getting better at using Photoshop and Illustrator, etc. And I think I have a lot to offer as a producer as well, and working on this project is definitely going to strengthen my producing skills. So I'm really excited about what's going to happen next.
Amazing.
How do you go about so far? I mean, you got a budget together for the film you've released today. I mean, how did you go about that process? How did you finance it?
Yeah, well, that was pocket money. Like, it was like the team making it happen.
Right.
So it was a small budget. Yeah.
So it sounds like that's something we all have in common. We all financed it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The budget
But yeah,
is
no,
always...
the idea is to figure out, because there's so many places, well, not places, companies, whatever, that fund projects. Like there's lists of that, and you just gotta put in the work to get that money. You know, it's like submitting to film festivals. Like it's a bit intimidating at first, but then you sort of get the hang of it. And well, I imagine, like, I've not done it yet, but
you've also got to make sure that your project aligns with what that
absolutely
company is looking for. And that goes exactly the same for film festivals. There's no point submitting your documentary to a music video showcase, but people do, because they don't really read what the festivals are about. So,
yeah, exactly. But my point is that there's so many opportunities out there for everything, like for any kind of film. So I guess that's encouraging.
Just gotta hunt it
Very
down.
encouraging.
And go for it. And if not, find a rich person that will avoid tax and give you the cash. It's the same question to you, Ibi.
Yeah, it's a tricky question. I think for me, hopefully Visitor acts as sort of a bit of a door opener. I'm hopeful. I think it, again, hopefully showcases that I'm capable of sort of, making a feature on a shoestring budget, with just sort of, a bit of creativity and, hopefully putting together as many resources as I can. And often I think there is a bit of a chicken or egg situation in which, as Paula says, there is funding out there, but you have to, as you say, align with the kind of the vision of that funding organization, whatever it is, and also be able to demonstrate that you're capable of delivering, something in the form, obviously, of a narrative at the end, one way or another. And so hopefully, for me, over the next 5 years, what I'm planning to do is, if Visitor can provide me with any kind of springboard, make sure that I have ready a next project. There's something that I've had sort of tumbling around in the back of my head for a while as a story. Again, it's a sort of a fictional narrative, psychological thriller, not unlike Visitor. It's a different story entirely. It's a bit more ambitious, a bit bigger, but I just want to get that down on paper, and then really try, because with Visitor, I didn't take the route of going to kind of financiers or investors of any kind. I thought I want to make this myself. I know exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. But I think I'd like to think with every film I've made, I have always gotten incrementally better. And that's just the one thing that I want to make sure I always do. Anything I make after Visitor, I want to make sure, whether it's a short film or a feature film, that it tops the project before it in hopefully more than one way, narratively and technically. And so hopefully I want to continue doing that until, potentially at some point in the future, ideally, again, sort of delusions of grandeur, possibly with me as well, John. Hopefully somebody turns around and says, what, we're going to take a gamble on you. Here's, $1 million. Make this kind of film that you've got down on paper. That would be incredible. And yeah, that's sort of the dream.
It's good to dream big, isn't it? I mean,
you have to dream big. You got to dream big. But going back to what you were saying there, do you have any? Are you looking to distribute this film that you're talking about at the moment?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that really attracted me to Liftoff is that I know that you guys have got an incredible history of strong collaboration with distributors. So right now, it's sort of a power. Right now, obviously, I'm focusing on trying to get Visitor out there to as many people as possible, while obviously having a mind on sort of the next project. Do you have any advice?
Yes, this is where I was going to go down. Yeah. I've talked to Paola about this as well, but it's really great that you have another idea in mind, because if you have this project, which you do, and you get in front of a sale agent, it might not be right for them, but they love your style or love what you're doing and you're on the right tracks. If you can then pull out that other project and be like, well, I've got this as well. Amazing, because 70% of sale agents like to get on board at the script stage, not necessarily at the end stage where it's done the festival circuit and is now looking for a home. And that's so they can tailor their marketing strategy and tailor their approach to the bigger distributors in order to get it onto those platforms that everyone is so well aware of. So I feel like you're in this weird limbo stage where, hit those sale agents for the project you currently have, but if they're interested in you and want to keep your tabs on you, then you've got that other project ready to go. There's a platform called Cinando. Spelled Cinando. Are you aware of it?
I am not.
No. Writing it down.
So this is where all the sale agents and distributors live, along with other industry aspects as well. But this is where we get all of our meetings with the sale agents and distributors, and this is how we started building our relationship. There is a subscription fee, so I really should start getting commission for this. But if you go to a film festival, it will often be a part of the pass. Not a film festival. If you go to a film market, it will be part of your pass. So I'm not sure how much the subscription fee is, but literally everyone on there. So you can look at what sale agents are currently selling, and the best thing is it has a little bit about the company, what their ethos is, but at the bottom of each page it has direct contacts along with phone numbers and what position they have within the company, and obviously you would like to reach out to acquisitions.
Joe, what was the name of that website again?
Cinando. Cinando.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, it is great, and if you are going to kind of put yourself in that genre of psychological thrillers, then you can start building your relationship with sale agents. If you stick to that, you will grow a lot quicker in that one genre than if you keep spreading yourself across.
Right, for sure.
So yeah, that would be my advice. Have a look at the films that you love, who distributed those. Obviously, if we talk about Inception and Memento, then obviously we need to take it down a step or two.
For sure.
But the key questions they always ask us: who is attached? Is there any celebrities in it? Who's the director? Is there funding behind the project? So these are the types of questions you need to ask yourself. And the best way to contact a sale agent is, yes, you can do it as a filmmaker, but they prefer it if a producer or a company like ourselves puts you forward, because it's like we've already checked you, and they like to build relationships with producers as well. So yeah, that's
great
just
advice. Thank you.
a little bit. We can delve way further into that at a later date, but yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. There's been quite a few people in the chat room. It's been going off, and someone mentioned earlier that their favourite film was Birdman. I can't see it in the chat anymore, but Birdman is fantastic as well.
It is.
Cool. Any final questions?
I didn't like it. I'm sorry.
You didn't like it?
I didn't. No, it stressed me out.
Yeah.
It's quite chaotic, hectic. True.
Yeah. Sorry to the person that said that it was their favorite film.
Have you seen Uncut Gems then? Because that stressed me out.
Oh, but that one's good. It stressed me oh my god. But it's good.
I had to turn that off. I couldn't get beyond half an hour.
Yeah. Birdman is good too.
Yeah, I started watching it the other night, and I was just like, I got up to the point where I was just like, I don't know if I can take this right now.
Yeah.
So I turned it off, and then I rewatched.
Wait, you didn't finish it?
I did. I went back and watched it, but I just had to take a break.
Oh, okay.
It was a bit too much. Oh no, stop.
Yeah, that's good. I think there are some films where you have to be in a very particular mindset, Like I've had Tyrannosaur on my DVD shelf for a decade, and I just could never quite bring myself to put myself in that zone.
That film is phenomenal.
I've heard it's amazing. That's the thing. I know it's a must watch, but I know it's a tough watch as well. And
yeah, but it's such a low key film as well. I mean, I think just with Uncut Gems and Tyrannosaur in particular, I think what I love about these films is that it takes a subject matter that isn't inherently, Michael Bay end of the world-esque, but the stakes in the films feel like everything. Like everything is in the balance kind of thing. And I love that kind of filmmaking where it's so incredibly well kind of written and directed, and the perspective is so spot on that you feel like this individual's life is the be all and end all of everything, and you're so kind of in it. Yeah, no, it's a great film. I highly recommend it, but it will stress you out and it will break your heart for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think one of my favorite quotes that I know Mark Kermode is very fond of, and I think it's a Roger Ebert quote, is that cinema is a machine for creating empathy, and that's something that we always need more of in the world. So as long as we have that need, then cinema is always this, vital artistic tool.
Definitely, yeah. You sound like a very conscientious filmmaker as well. I'm really excited to see kind of where your career takes you and all the projects you come out with.
Likewise.
And thank you. So yeah,
I've got to see both your pieces of work. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining. But you're all part of the Festival Hub, so do make sure that you use the benefits there and find each other and continue the conversations there.
Sure. Thank you very much, Natalie.
So much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you both. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.